Good morning to all very dear children. Hope you all are doing well. Today we shall be starting with the lesson power sharing. We have already learned about the word power. Power means to control people or to do something. Whereas sharing means to divide something between two or more people. We already know, we have learnt about the word power. Power used to be in the hands of kings, his officers. The power also remained with the hands of Brahmins, those who used to dominate over the lower caste. We have also learned that in our houses also the power used to be in the hands of fathers. There used to be a patriarchal society. Fathers used to take decision on the behalf of family. But now the things has changed. With modernity, with education, with progress, developments, now the powers which used to be in the hands of the male-dominated society, now it is getting shared. The mothers, the wives, now they are also equally, they also stand equally along with the male-dominated society. Now the power is shared. Even sometimes nowadays, the elderly children, they are also brought together. They also are called to take decisions. So likewise, we have learned that in different organization, in any of the organization, wherever the decisions are to be taken, it's not that any one person single he only takes the decisions. The power is now shared. So likewise, in our government, the democratically elected government, the power is being shared. Otherwise, what happens? It becomes a dictatorship type of government, or a monarchical type form of government, or a community form of government. In a democratic form of government, the power is shared, so that there can be peaceful surroundings. There cannot be any conflicts. To avoid domination of majorities over these minorities, to avoid conflicts, such power sharing is formed. Such power sharing is framed by our constitution. Such guidelines are being formed. The government also knows that these are the powers and these are the limitations. This is what we are going to study in this lesson, power sharing. In this lesson, we shall be learning that how power is held by the government, what are the functions it can enjoy, and then how the conflicts are resolved along with the differences and variations, and what are the forms of power sharing. Now let's understand the lesson by reading out, by learning out the two stories of two countries, one of Belgium and another of Sri Lanka. Let's start with Belgium. Belgium is a small country in Europe, and you'll be very surprised to know, children, area wise it is smaller than the state of Haryana. Our one of the state, Haryana, is much bigger than a country, and population wise also it's half the population of Haryana. And now let's see the ethnic composition of Belgium. Children, ethnicity means when the society is divided on the basis of shared culture. Now let's see the ethnicity. Here the 59% of the population, they live in Flemish region, those who speak Dutch language, and 40% of the community, they live in Wallonia region and speak French language, and the remaining 1%, they speak German language. So thus we have understood, children, 59% people, they speak Dutch language, 40% they speak French language, and 1% they speak German language. Now let's see about the capital city of Belgium country. The capital city is Brussels. Here the thing is opposite, children. Here the 80% they speak French language and 20% they speak Dutch. Thus, in the overall population in the Belgium country, the majority was of Dutch community and the minority were the French and the Germans. Now, see, children, the interesting thing in the country was the French speaking community, they were more rich and powerful. How did this happen? We have always heard that the majorities, they are more rich, they are more powerful, they tend to dominate over minorities. But here it was totally opposite. Yes, children, the reason was the French community, they were rich and powerful because they were educated, well qualified, and they had got the benefits of all the economic developments. Now, as the French community, they were more powerful, rich, well settled, well qualified. All this resented the Dutch community. They had an anger towards the French community that though they were majority community, but they were not as rich, they were not powerful, and they did not had any economic development. And this led to tensions between the two community, and the tensions were more acute in the Brussels city where the majority was of French community, and there were tensions between the year 1950 and 1960s. Now let's compare this situation of Belgium country with another country, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, yes children, it's an island nation which is just a few kilometers away from the southern coast of Tamil Nadu. And again children, it's very surprising that the population in Sri Lanka is about 2 crore, which is equal to that of Haryana state. And like as in other South Asian regions, it also has different variations in the community. Now let's see children, let's study the ethnic composition of Sri Lanka. Here the 74% of people, they are the Sinhala speakers, and 18% population is of Tamil speakers. Now children, these Tamil speakers, they are subdivided into two groups. One is the native Tamils, those who are born and brought up in Sri Lanka only, and their percentage is of 13%. And the remaining 5% is of the people, those whose forefathers had come as plantation workers during the colonial period in Sri Lanka. And see children, the Sinhalas, they were mostly the Buddhists. The religion was Buddhism. And the Tamils, they were both Hindus and Muslims. And 7% was of the Christians. Some of the Sinhalas and some of the Tamils, they were Christians. Just imagine children, what would happen if the majorities, they tend to impose their will on the minorities. And we have studied in Belgium country that the majority was of Dutch community, and the Dutch community forcibly, if they impose their will on French community, then what would have happened? It will lead towards conflicts and even led to the partition of the country. In Sri Lanka, the majorities, they have tried to impose their will on the minorities, and there happened a situation of conflicts, civil war and all. Now let's study that what had happened, how did the government over there solve their ethnic problems. Let's start with Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka has got its independence in the year 1948, and now children, through the democratic elections, the Sinhalas, they with their dominance, they were able to form the government. And after forming the government, they tried to impose their will over the minorities. Now let's study what all measures were taken to show the supremacy of the Sinhalas. Now let's study children, what all preferential policies were brought by the Sinhalas to establish their supremacy. In 1956, an act was passed to recognize Sinhala as the only official language, thus disregarding the Tamils. Then they brought such preferential policies with which the Sinhala applicant, they could easily receive the government jobs and university positions. A constitution was passed to foster Buddhism, though there were different religions like Hindu, Muslims, Christians were there, but only Buddhism was encouraged. So thus three measures were brought children. 1956 an act was brought which regarded Sinhala as the only official language. Then they brought preferential policies which favored the Sinhala applicants. Then they encouraged their religion. And the government measures which were brought, one after another, they brought the feeling of alienation among the Tamils. Now they could not receive government jobs or university positions. They could not secure equal political rights. They could not receive education, and thus they were denied all the interests of theirs. And as a result, the relation between the two of the communities, it strained over time. Now let's see how Tamils, they made efforts to gain power in Sri Lanka. The Tamils, they launched parties and struggles demanding recognition of Tamil as an official language. They demanded regional autonomy, which means they didn't wanted any interference in their regions. They wanted to have control of their own in their region. They also demanded equal political rights. They demanded equal rights for securing education as well as government jobs. They formed political organizations demanding a separate Tamil state, especially in the northern and eastern parts of Sri Lanka. But their demands, they were denied by the government, and as a result, it turned into conflict and soon turned into civil war. And as a result, thousands of people of both the communities, they were killed. Many of the families, they were forced to leave the country. Many of them were deprived of their livelihood. And the civil war caused a terrible setback in the social, cultural and economic life of the country. Now let's see how Belgium leaders, they solved their ethnic problems. The leaders, they took a different path by bringing innovative changes. They recognized the regional differences and cultural diversities. They brought changes in their constitutions for around 4 times so that everyone in the country could live together. Now let's see the elements of the Belgium model. The Constitution prescribes that there will be equal representation of both the communities, the Dutch and the French, in the central government. The many of the powers of the central government, it was given to the state government, so that the state government is also not less powerful. The Brussels, the capital city, there also the equal representation was given to both the communities. And the third kind of government was there, that was community form of government. Let us see what was special about the community form of government. In the community government, the people of a particular community, either French, Dutch or German, they will elect their leaders from their community. And this government has the power regarding cultural, educational and the language related issue. This government was mainly formed to avoid strife between the two major communities. Now let's see the similarities as well as differences between these two countries which we have learnt now. The similarities were both the countries are democracies and both have various ethnic groups. But the difference, let us see the difference. In Belgium, the leaders, they gave respect to the social diverse groups. Thus, they strengthened up their country. There was a unity. But in Sri Lanka, the majorities, they tried to impose their will on the minorities. They alienated the Tamilians by disregarding them and refused to share power. So thus, they weakened the country's unity. Now let's study why this power sharing is desirable. Yes, children, power sharing is desirable because of 2 reasons: prudential and moral reason. Let's start with the prudential reason. Power sharing, it reduces the social conflicts. Yes, children, we have learned in Sri Lanka because of the refusal of power sharing, there arose conflicts which soon turned into civil war. But in Belgium, if the respect was given to the social diverse groups, they felt dignified, equal accommodation was given to all the communities. So thus they improved the unity of the country, thus avoiding the social conflicts. And the second reason under prudential reason is it ensures political stability. It means through competition in the form of elections, various political parties, they attend it, and due to which there is political stability. There is losing also as well as winning also. Means the power does not remain in one hand. It keeps on changing. So that is why there is political stability. Now the second reason is moral reason. Under moral reason, we learn that power sharing, it is the very spirit of democracy. In the democratic countries only practice the sharing of power. The power does not reside in one. And the second reason under moral reason is citizens through participation, they acquire a role in the system. Now because of decentralization, because now more and more powers from the central government, it is transferred to state government, from state governments to local government. So that is why maximum participation of people is there. So thus there is a rule of people. Now let's study how this power sharing, the ideas of power sharing got emerged. It has got emerged in opposition to the undivided political powers. For a long time it was believed that the power should remain in one hand, and if the power sharing is done, there cannot be quick decisions be made. One basic principle of democracy is people are the source of all political powers. People rule themselves through the institution of self-government, and in a democracy, all kinds of social diverse groups are given due respect. People has a voice in shaping of public politics. Therefore, in a democracy, it was decided the political powers to be distributed among the maximum of citizens as possible. Now let's study the different forms of power sharing which is practiced in our country. Let us start with the horizontal division of power. Yes children, when the division of power is done between the different organs of the government, that is called horizontal division of power. The three organs of the government are legislature, executive and judiciary. The parliament comes under legislator, those whose function is to frame laws. About executive we have studied last year in our 9th standard, that there are two types of executive: political, permanent. The civil servants and the ministers come under executives, those who execute laws. Then comes judiciary. All the courts, they comes under judiciary, those whose function is to administer justice. Now children, now all these three organs, they are placed at the same level, exercising different powers. Power sharing among the different organs of the government ensures that none of the organ exercises unlimited power, and each organ, they check each other so that there is a balance of power among the three organs. Last year we have learned that our executives, the ministers, they exercises power, but they are accountable, they are answerable before the parliament. They have to get approval from the parliament. They have to answer to the questions made by the parliament. Similarly, the judiciary, the judges of ours, they are appointed by the executive. But once when they are appointed by the executives, they are not answerable towards the ministers. Instead, these judiciary, they can interpret against the laws framed by the parliament as well as the wrong actions done by our ministers. Means they can give punishment to the ministers of us if they have done anything wrong, or some laws if they are unfavorable towards the citizens, for the welfare of the citizens if it is not there, then also they can interpret. So thus this type of interfering can be done by the judiciary. Thus this type of power sharing is also called as system of checks and balances. Now let's learn the vertical division of power. When the power is shared between the three levels of government, that is called vertical division of power. There is a government for the entire country, a general government for the entire country, that is called federal government. We in India, we call it as union government or central government. the government at the regional or the provincial level, they are called as state government. Just now, few minutes before, we have learned one of a state, Haryana. It's an example only, children. Haryana is such big that some of the countries, they are smaller than Haryana, or some of the countries, they are equal to Haryana. Like a chief minister of a state, he cannot handle himself the whole of the state. So at this time, there are problems, issues faced by the local level, and that can be solved better by the local leaders. So thus there is local governments in the form of municipality and panchayat. Now our state governments also, they are not subordinate to the central government. Many of our powers are shared of the central government to the state government, and now the powers of state government, it is shared with the local government. Thus, sharing of power from central government to state government, from state government to local government, that is called vertical division of power. Now let's understand the sharing of power between the social groups, especially the religious and the linguistic groups. The community government in Belgium is a good example of this type of arrangement, where all the social diverse groups, especially the minority groups, they were accommodated, respected, and equal representation was given to them. Thus, unity was maintained in the country. Now, this type of accommodation is done towards the minor groups so that they do not feel alienated from the government, as well as to give them proper space in the power. In our country also, the special reservations are being given to these minor groups, especially in the government jobs, elected bodies, reserved constituencies are also being formed, so that these people, they can also lead a respectful and dignified life. And to maintain the principles of democracy, such type of arrangement is being started. Now let's learn that how power is shared among the various political parties, the pressure groups, and the movements. Let's start with the political parties. Yes, children, being the part of the democratic country where different political parties are there, the basic principle of democracy says that every citizen in the country, they are equal, and each citizens, they have equal voting rights, as well as each vote has equal value. Now when the voting is done, there should be choices also. Choices in the form of different political parties, so that the voters, they can choose from among these contenders. Now the elections are done in the regular form, and now elections, they are in the form of competitions. Different various political parties, they participate in the competitions. That thus they ensures a sharing of power. Whosoever wins the elections, they form the government, and the parties, those who lose, they becomes the opposition parties. So thus there is a sharing of powers. Now sharing of power is also seen when a coalition government is formed. Now coalition government, you have already learned, children, when a single party is not able to achieve majority at that time, for the winning purpose, when two or more parties join hands together to form a party, to form the government, at that time this type of government is called as coalition government, where the prime minister of the coalition government, he cannot take decision on his own. At that time, now he'll have to take advices from the parties which are joined along with their party. He also has to accommodate each of the members of the parties which are joined with them. So thus sharing of power is seen. Now let's learn about the pressure groups. Now the pressure groups are those organizations which directly influence government policies. Their aim is not to hold political powers, but these are the people, those who come together, the people with common occupation, interests, aspirations, come together with a common objective. Like we have heard, we have seen also in the news, the teachers of government schools, they come together sitting in a strike, demanding for better salaries maybe, or with a common objective, whatever their demands are, they protest against the government policies, they influence government policies. We have also about the doctors, they are at strikes for a good or safer environment. Now recently the farmers of Punjab and Haryana, they are protesting against the farm bills, against the government policies. So these are pressure groups. Now let's learn about the movements. Children, movement we have heard about the collective organizations, the collective actions which has been done in the form of movement. We have heard about Narmada Bachao Andolan, women's right movement, anti-liquor movement. So like that, different movements are there, children. These are also like pressure groups. They also influence government policies. They do not hold or share any political powers. They only aims at maximum participation. Here their aim is the sharing of power is done through dharnas, rallies, protests, etc. Thus we have learned, children, different forms of power sharing. The horizontal division of power, where the powers are distributed among the different organs of the government, the legislative, executive and the judiciary. And the vertical division of power, where the power is shared among the different levels of the government, like central government, state government and the local government. Then we have learned the sharing of power among the social groups, so that they also live a respectful and dignified life, where the majorities, they do not dominate over the minorities. And at the last we learned that how power is shared among the political parties, the pressure groups and the movements. Thus we understood through this lesson that power sharing, it brings a united and integrated country, and it avoids conflicts because it accommodates the social diverse groups. Thus, because of power sharing, the government, it becomes a legitimate and accountable government.